Greetings, Lucky Legends! Welcome to the dojo. My name is Lucky, this is Lucky Lad TV. I'm your host for this video, and it is time for hazards. Or rather, it is time for how to deal with hazards. This is a Lucky Analytics post-commentated team building, meaning that I have practiced with the team, figured out what was wrong with it, figured out what needed changing, and done so accordingly. As you can see here, we are starting off with Kryptonite. The whole point of this team is to be able to ensure hazards are on my opponent's side, and ensure that hazards are not on my side. And I'll explain how each of these well, the first three Pokemon are for that, the rest of the Pokemon just balance out the rest of the team. So, we have Kryptonite, our Mega Sableye, with the Magic Bounce ability, Max Defense, Max HP. The reason I run it this way is because the rest of my team cannot handle Talonflame. Kryptonite can sponge an attack from a Choice Banded Talonflame, and then fire off a Power Gem and one-shot it after Brave Bird Recoil. I don't remember how much I take from a Choice Banded Brave Bird. I think it was something like 40%. But whatever it is, I can fire off the Power Gem and one-shot it. And then recover off the damage that was dealt to me. Or I could just stall it out that way. I could recover spam and it uses Brave Bird and eventually it will die and I will not. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, because Mega Sableye is fat as hell. This is Magic Bounces so that I can bounce back hazards if I can predict the usage of that move. There are certain Pokemon that I would not switch in against that would be using hazard setting moves. However, overall, Mega Sableye has a pretty safe switch in. Pretty much against any physical attacking Mon, I can switch in pretty safely, and then I can either fire off a free knockoff, or I can just go for a recover. Now, Kryptonite serves one other purpose. A spin blocker. Kryptonite is Ghost type, which means that my opponent cannot use Rapid Spin on it. So, again, it's about making sure that the hazards stay on my opponent's side and making sure that my opponent's hazards don't get onto my side. That is where I Make Holes comes in. I Make Holes, and I will explain all of the spread and whatnot in just a second. Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Rapid Spin, Iron Head. It has Mold Breaker, which means that Stealth Rocks are guaranteed, Magic Bounce does not work. And it has Rapid Spin, for obvious reasons, to get rid of hazards. As for the EV spread, it outspeeds a max speed Mega Venusaur. And by max speed, I mean 252 EVs, not timid. Meaning it outspeeds a modest max speed Venusaur, and it goes toe-to-toe with Venusaur and wins. Earthquake does more to Venusaur, and Venusaur does not regain enough from Giga Drain to do me in. Of course, that is after Stealth Rock damage on Venusaur. Earthquake is a 2-hit KO, assuming that, just generally speaking, the big thing about this is that I Make Holes has the safety goggles, because most of the time Venusaur carries Sleep Powder, which means that turn 1, Earthquake, my opponent goes for Sleep Powder fails, turn 2, Earthquake, and Venusaur goes down without getting the chance to go for a Giga Drain. If Venusaur manages to live the Earthquake and goes for Giga Drain, then the next one will take it out. That's basically just the thing about it, is that it's there because it can handle Venusaur. Mega Venusaur. The last thing that I was worried about was Defog, because I don't want my opponent getting rid of the hazards on their side of the field. That is where Izanami comes in. Izanami is a leftovers competitive Milotic. And the reason being is that a lot of Pokemon that use Defog are Flying type. The other big Pokemon that's known for Defog is Mega Scizor, which is why we have Hidden Power Fire. Hidden Power Fire at +2 will one-shot Mega Scizor no matter what investment it has. It doesn't matter. As for Scald, that is, it's Scald, it is what it is. Recover is for recovery, obviously. And Ice Beam is because, as I said, a lot of the Pokemon that use Defog, such as Gligar, Gliscor, what's that thing called? Mandibuzz. That's another one. Or Togekiss, I believe, learns it as well. They get hit super effective by Ice Beam, and with the competitive boost we get from Defog, because Defog lowers your opponent's evasion by 1, which means competitive would activate and raise my special attack stat by 2. That is why I have Izanami. It is also my special wall. The reason I am not running any special attack investment is because it's not necessary. With this spread, I still have enough special attack to one-shot things at +2. If I'm not at +2, then it's really just, for chip damage and for burning stuff with Scald. So immediately I noticed I don't have any serious attacking presence with the exception of I Make Holes, which is of course a physical attacking presence. So I needed a really, really strong special attacking presence. That is where Izanagi comes in. Izanagi is Wide Lens with Leaf Storm, Giga Drain, Substitute, and Glare. It is a late game sweeper. It is not meant for early game. Basically what you want to do, you want to use it to glare and paralyze things in the early game, and then once it's in the later game you want to come in, set up your substitute on something that can't break your substitute or that has to switch out, and then start firing off Leaf Storms. It outspeeds a lot of stuff in OU. Base 113 is really fast. And I'm running Timid, not Modest. I have very little special attack investment because I have Leaf Storm to get those contrary boosts. It does get walled by anything that really absorbs grass type attacks. Obviously, I only have grass type attacks, which is why it is a late game sweeper. It is not meant for early game sweeping. For example, Izanagi would tear through these 3 Pokemon very, very easily. Late game, not early game. Glare is the early game portion. And now I realize, okay, now I need a really strong physical attacking presence. That is where OG Legend comes in with the Expert Belt, Flash Fire, for the fire immunity, because we have 2 weaknesses and only the 1 resistance in Izanami. Extreme Speed, Flare Blitz, Wild Charge, and Close Combat. Max Attack, almost max speed. I wanted that little bit of HP investment, and I'm also not worried about it outspeeding something. It'll outspeed an uninvested 125 base speed Pokemon, such as Swellow. If somebody decided to bring a Swellow with no speed investment, it'll outspeed it. Yay! There's really not much about it. It's the Expert Belt because it has a lot of good coverage. The last thing that I needed was something to handle fighting types, because Kryptonite can't really handle a fighting type, at least not very well, and that's where Flying Mow comes in. Flying Mow has Wish, it has Dazzling Gleam, it has Air Slash, and it has Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere is the only fighting coverage that we have on this team except for Close Combat. And Close Combat is not enough. It's just not. The Wish is for Wish passing, because we have a Citrus Berry. It's a bulky set with heavy special attack investment. It's not modest, it's bold nature so that it'll eat up hits really, really, really well. And then it also has some speed investment just to get its speed a little bit up there. That's really just the whole purpose of this team, but the reason I built this team is to showcase these 3 Pokemon, because between the 3 of them, and keep in mind, they have very few, if any, unchecked weaknesses. Grass and Electric. We don't have a Grass resistance, but we do have an Electric immunity. You're weak to Fire, Fighting, Ground. So actually, between the 4 of these, we have a really nice little core. Izanagi can take hits really well. Izanagi has very good natural bulk. Base 95 defense and special defense with 75 HP. Really nice natural bulk. But, as I was saying, the point is to showcase these 3 Pokemon, because between them, we essentially guarantee hazards on my opponent's side of the field, and between these 2, we essentially guarantee that the hazards will stay, because if you defog against Milotic, unless you have something that hits really hard on the physical side, you're not going to take down Milotic, and at +2, it's just going to tear through your team. That's what +2 does. It would be a 240 special attack. That's very, very, very high. But that is this team. Again, it is a team that I have done some testing with. I realized what I was missing, and I adjusted accordingly. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. It's very much greatly appreciated. But with that, I want to thank you for joining me here at the dojo. I'm going to get about. Best of luck out there. I will see you all soon. Goodbye.